Welcome back to Weekend Express with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi. Before we conclude the conversation, of course, in studio, I have Saoya, yes, Tabitha Griffith, the Deputy Executive Director, Kenya Legal and Ethical Issues Network, and Rebecca Gitau, who is a psychologist. Yeah. Before we went for a break, I made mention of the mistrust between authorities and the survivors. Why is there a mistrust?
Maybe I could start from a legal perspective, because what happens is that, number one, there's a fear that the case will be compromised out of experience. We have seen survivors who say, I heard someone else's case was compromised. I heard this person give the police X amount of money and they were let go. The lack of information as well, because people do not understand the constitutional right to bail. So sometimes survivors will say, but this person was let go scot-free. So they don't understand that there's a bail process, and after someone has been given bail, they're allowed to go. Which
begs the question of the confidence in the law that we have. Are survivors then confident that they'll get justice following the laws that we have?
And not really. Let me help Karen, because working with survivors for quite some time, survivors will always tell you, if you advise them now from treatment, we encourage you to go and report. And sometimes they'll go report and tell you, the way that a lawmaker talked to me, there's no need of reporting. So many would opt for medical treatment, counseling, and not reporting. Again, there's a lot of documentation. There's a documentation from hospital. There's a documentation from the police. Those two documentation need to agree. In most cases, they don't agree, because from the hospital is immediately they have reported. Then at the police level, sometimes it takes 3 days. When the wounds have healed, everything else looks like normal. So you see, what was written from the hospital, what is written at the police station, they don't agree. So we start again another process of trying to, how do we harmonize these two documentation? It may take even a year. So not many survivors. I'll tell you, for example, at Nairobi Women, we have, for example, in a year, more than 3,000. Only maybe 400 survivors would agree to go to court. Out of that, maybe we'll only have 2 or 3 cases that have been completed within a span of 4 years. So you can imagine they don't have confidence.
So understanding and hearing the statistics of the cases that often end up getting justice. You are the Deputy Executive Director of Kenya Legal and Ethical Issues Network. Then that seems as though there is a problem with the law, in as far as and to the extent that we have cases being taken to court, but there is justice for 2 or 3 only. Is there a problem with the law?
So the problem is not in the law. It's actually in the entire, so as I said, the justice system does not just end with the judiciary and the conviction. It's the circumstances that involve each of these cases. I'm going to give you, allow me just 2 minutes to take you through. So at the police station, once the survivor has reported, if we do not have a conducive environment and the police officer's first question is, what were you wearing? That immediately will turn off the survivor. Now that is the first problem, that I could have reported, but nothing happened beyond that. Number 2, there are instances where investigations never happen. There are places whereby a survivor reports, but the police officers are overwhelmed. There's a riot that is happening at Nairobi University. Priority is given to that. So these investigations take quite a long time. Now, files move from the investigating officer to the office of the DPP, because that's the Director of Public Prosecution who prosecutes. This is also another process. So by the time this file goes, remember that the court has a diary, and it's filling up. Every day we have matters that are coming up. So a survivor then finds this as a strenuous process. 3 years, 4 years without support. They're just being told to come to court. These people do not have money that is set aside where they're getting reimbursed to go to court. These are the difficulties that they have. So someone opts, If I am a woman who washes clothes for a living, I would opt to go and wash clothes than to go and testify in my own case.
Fair
so
enough.
It's the circumstances that are involved that make this not conducive environment for justice to prevail.
Okay, let me give Rebecca the last of words in this conversation. As a psychologist, probably someone who has been a survivor who is watching this, what is your message to them this morning?
First, I want to
30 seconds, please.
First, I want to remind all the survivors that it is not their mistake. It doesn't matter the circumstance. No one is supposed to use violence on you. Then the second thing, if it has happened, come out. There are psychologists all over. Come out. Talk about it, ease the burden, and you'll be helped.
Thank you. I believe they'll be heard. Rebecca Gitau, a psychologist, Saoyo Thabitha Griffith, Deputy Executive Director, Kenya Legal and Ethical Issues Network. Many thanks for making time for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, pleasure. Let's move on to